Speaking of people that have been put off or are off put, or maybe pissed off might be better. Well, we said on the whatever show we just recently did talking about the Saturday night's main events with specifically Goldberg, and they went off the air on his speech, and it was not a shining moment of broadcast for the WWE's history as far as putting a show together with all of the that went on. And Goldberg is coming, and I just saw something before we get into this. I saw something where he was quoted as saying, well, I got about 2 more weeks and then I can say what I want. Like he already hadn't been saying what he wanted.
Yeah, I saw that
But he's
too.
like,
yeah, what is that?
I don't know. Maybe he signed a 2-week non-disclosure if they fuck up my retirement. I have no idea, but he's already said, well, I would have wanted it on pay-per-view to begin with, which again, to be honest, is kind of a thing you would have expected. For a guy with that name, if they were going to do this at all, right? And he's complaining because Cena has a year, retirement tour going on. They're making a big deal out of it. That's a little much, as Mama Cornette used to say, because Goldberg's not in the shape Cena's in as far as being able to still work a schedule and blah, 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 and all those things.
Yeah, Goldberg actually makes contact with the people he works with, so he gets hurt too. Cena's punching air.
Yes, and by the way, get well, poor Charles Robinson, who's 60 years old, who got a cracked rib from that spear. God damn, we're too old for that. But Goldberg has valid complaints that he has been registering in that they did rush it. He said, he would have loved to have announced it 3 months ago and done some kind of build, not to dominate television every week, but Jesus Christ, with all those hours of TV, and as we've talked about, many of them with plenty of travel logs and spots and backstage vignettes, but they could have spared a little time for something like that, but they kind of rushed it and they put it on Saturday night's main event, and then somehow managed to mismanage. And everybody has pointed out that, and we'll get into what Dave thinks about Seth Rollins in a second, but as we're talking about one topic, one conspiracy theory here, Goldberg. If the thing went wrong in the Seth Rollins match, then they should have had more time. And theoretically, they still had enough time to do, we were thinking before, we said this, Brian, it needs to be hard-hitting, exciting, big moves, quick in and out, and don't let it drag type of thing. And they 15 minutes. And so was the time of the match, if they planned his speech in the ring and all those people were in the ring and he was saying shit and it was recorded for YouTube or whatever the fuck, it's not like they all went into business for themselves. And why would you not have some type of acknowledgement like that on Goldberg's retirement? So the point being, how did they botch this unless the match went twice as long as it was supposed to, and they didn't have time for the interview? But Goldberg is acting like it was a complete surprise to him that happened. And I got to be honest with you, from having been in multiple companies, including that one in the truck, if they had even a 3-minute interview speech planned at the end and had to do a break before that, they would have been screaming in the referee's ear, tell them we're going off the fucking air if they don't go home in 1 minute. But you didn't see any semblance of panic in the finish of that match. Like, oh shit, like they just started rushing shit, right?
Not at all.
So regardless of what's going on with Seth Rollins, and regardless of what the timing was or wasn't, or whether they went short or long, I don't understand how this happened. Either they weren't supposed to have a goddamn ceremony in the ring at all and just decided to do it, but even then, they were almost off the fuck because they still had another break to go in the program. So they were button up on being off the air with just the match. Again, they would have been signaling in the truck if there was some issues. But was it what I said the other day? And I hate to be rambling here, but none of it makes any sense. Other than just a sloppy television production. Was Gunther having to slow down and wait for Goldberg not to vomit, possibly, if he was blown up, before that he could pick Gunther's big ass up and fucking jackhammer him? Who knows what the fuck? But anyway, I don't blame Goldberg for being pissed. Do you?
Not one bit. And, not that this is the same thing, but it's not even the same person running the show, but there's a history of WCW wrestlers kind of being diminished. Remember the Sting Triple H match at WrestleMania, which was kind of bizarre. It was really entertaining, but it was a weird way to finish things off. And then Sting was like, that's not the way I want to go out. Let me ask you this. And no, I don't think Goldberg is wrong to be upset. I think WWE should have built this thing better. That was the thing that really got Goldberg was a draw on pay-per-view, even. Again, it's a different audience, it's a different time. Goldberg was a draw. Build this thing up, make people care about the last match. It just popped up. They did the angle way back where Gunther hit Goldberg's son or whatever. But then it was like 6 months between that and Goldberg appearing again. And then it was a couple weeks until the match on a Saturday night's main event in between pay-per-views. And then they screw him where they go from the finish right to a commercial as quick as they've ever done ever in the history of WWE. And then they cut off his speech, which obviously meant a lot to him. Taking all the negatives of Tony Khan out of the equation and AEW and any issues, just the way they do things. Should Tony Khan, if Goldberg's upset and Goldberg's talking like he wants a final match that does it right still, is it worth it even for the positive publicity of doing something right for a wrestler after WWE did it wrong? Is it worth trying to do something?
I think then you're opening up a can of peas because if Goldberg is pissed off about, the unprofessionalism that feels like he's dealt with up there, imagine what he'd feel like when he was having to try to deal with these people.
Tony would make him feel like a king. There'll be chaos all around, and it's AEW and the system of AEW, and that is what it is. But Goldberg and his family will have never been treated better in his entire time in professional wrestling. I know it's funny, but I'm being very serious.
Well, no, maybe in his entire life, I was envisioning they were going to carry him on a giant pillow like a fucking sultan into the goddamn. Well, first of all, I'm not trying to say after we acknowledged some of his shortcomings that he did seem. The aura was not what it once was, because how could it be? He's almost 60 and he was kind of limping around. So he couldn't do like a Cena thing. And we acknowledged that, the reactions were not like Stone Cold, because it's been a while. Maybe Network was a better presentation for the age group and the older people that would be Goldberg's base audience. So that, it wasn't like he was going to have a big pay-per-view built around him. But as a network television program, if they're going to do it, that they didn't, and I forget who was Solo and fucking Uso or whatever, did that need to be there rather than on Raw?
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
If they weren't going to do it to where they formatted it to where not only there would be a match, but there would be some kind of celebration, acknowledgement, whatever the fuck you want to call the deal. And with honoring with the clips throughout it, etc. and building up to be a bigger thing, because that still could have been a major NBC television program in his hometown. Where was the mayor? Was the mayor of it? God damn it. Get the mayor of Atlanta to come out and say it's Goldberg Day, or what, it just some kind of shit as a presentation. It was sloppily done. So I don't blame him for not feeling like, well, that was my fucking retirement. So if he wanted to do one on any kind of main platform, pay-per-view, national television, whatever, he would have to talk to Tony, who as you said, and I am sure, wink, wink, nod, nod, without revealing any confidentiality, he'd love to speak to Goldberg. But does Goldberg want to fucking then again just take a chance on going through all this bullshit again? Who's he gonna fucking jackhammer down there?
And again, they're different people, and different people react to situations in different ways. But look at the way Sting was treated on his way out. Look at Sting's retirement match, which was such a big deal for them, even though, again, a lot of shortcomings in terms of promotion and different things. But obviously, other than the pay-per-view cutting off in the middle of the speech, I guess it's just a thing that happens when you end the show with that. They did better by Sting than WWE did by Goldberg. And again, I'm not saying have Goldberg out there every week, and I'm not saying anything, but they rushed, like you said, an NBC Goldberg retirement should be a big deal. You know, Saturday night's main event, when it originally aired, it didn't start with the main event, and it didn't end with the main event. The main event was usually timed to be around midnight. And then there was still more show after that. They didn't do that here. They started with the jelly roll thing, which, in terms of...
I can't believe you said those words.
Well, in terms of mainstream acceptance, that's a big deal. So you can't really blame them for starting off the NBC show with people that maybe people who aren't wrestling fans would... Whoever actually flips through television channels nowadays would see them and go, hey, what's going on here? But like you said, there was other things on that show that didn't need to be on at least before that. They should have gone to the Goldberg match second. And I don't understand why they didn't. You can't tell me that the solo match would have done as well in the ratings as a Goldberg speech with random people in the background. You're trying to figure out who's who. So they did wrong by him. I actually think Goldberg's right to be mad about this.
Well, and there's going to be some TV nerds, and then we'll talk about who else has chimed in with his fucking 2 cents, and I think he needs some fucking change back. But some of the TV nerds out there are going to say, well, the original Saturday night's main event, it was 11:30 to 1. So the big match was about midnight, and then it slows down. You're fighting sleep. There's attrition in the hut levels. This was different. It was 8 to 10, and they wanted to peak with the big, blah, blah, blah. But again, then manage your fucking time better and lay the thing out better, and or have a better format to fucking begin with to account for these things. And you can't mean to tell me that if they'd have had 3 or 4 extra minutes at the end, that it looked as bad and as clunky and as unprofessional, with them just filling time with announcer reactions and the people cheering and drop some fucking balloons, whatever, than just going to a break out of the middle of nowhere, coming back to see the guy in the ring for 10 seconds. And it was just,
for a company that has, since Kevin Dunn was removed, or since Kevin Dunn left and they replaced him and changed the production, has really done a great job of capturing big moments, big feeling, a better job than WWE have been doing, just making things sometimes feel like it's in a certain place, not just generic Arena 1 or 2. But they blew it. You would think WWE would have figured this is a big deal, but they really did blow it. I mean, I think anyone could have come up with a better way to handle the Goldberg retirement than a rushed feud, a match that cuts off, a speech that cuts off, an angry wrestler after the fact. That's the other thing. He's a guy who has been disgruntled in the past.
He's very good at gruntling.
Yeah, I mean, the only person who got a kick out of this whole thing was probably Bret Hart. Bret Hart was the one who pulled the plug, actually. WWE
yeah, the memes of Bret in the production truck with but but anyway, out of all of this controversy over Goldberg not being happy and the show blah, blah, or whatever. This guy, I don't want to. I don't want to cuss early in the clip, but I'm just seeing how long I can wait before I call him what I want to say. This Nimrod, Peter Rosenberg, came out and made some statement somewhere, just basically taking a piss out of Goldberg, saying, well, he ought to be lucky he was on television. He should have got speared and beat 1, 2, 3. Who the fuck is he? Like, this fucking guy is somebody. I'm already saying fuck anyway, right?
You can curse as much as you want. It's part of the Goldberg clip. Go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we possibly might have a new topic here.
I don't know if anyone would tune in for a topic about Peter Rosenberg.
That's true. So, point being, Peter Rosenberg, who says he's in wrestling, it's come to this now, that the people on the periphery who talk about the people who talk about wrestling, kind of, the commentators on some sub-platform of something are in wrestling. And he said Goldberg should have done a job, but he ought to be lucky that they called him. What the fuck is this guy's issue?
You know, I think people who kiss ass for work typically have a very difficult time accepting people that don't. And when people have to constantly go out there and just blow the companies that will actually give them money for being mediocre, that's what happens. There are a lot of people that just kiss WWE as if you don't think Goldberg is entitled to be upset about his mic being cut off, you're a fucking Rosenberg. And what the bleep that? Jay's bleep that. But I called him a And, you know, just the whole thing is ridiculous. It starts out with him saying, listen, Bill Goldberg, I have the quote here. As a Jewish guy who's in wrestling and loves wrestling myself, obviously I appreciate his contribution. He's a Jewish guy in the wrestling business compared to Goldberg? He's in the wrestling business? He's a New York radio guy desperate for gigs and WWE likes him because he kisses their ass. Let's stop playing games. Fucking suck on the air. You have to kiss WWE ass for employment. Say something negative about the company just once.
Yeah, see where you are then.
Seriously. Oh. There is just that's why New York that's one of the reasons why New York radio is dead. They have found just a crew of fucking simpletons and put them on the air over and over year after year, and then people stop listening to the radio. And this is a great example, this idiot.
But this fellow is putting himself, this fine fellow is putting himself, me and you, Bill, we're both in the business, so we can talk to each other. He's got himself slotted in right there.
The man got a 15-minute match. It should have been a squash. Let's be honest. He should have gotten Goldberged. He should have been speared and taken out. The man's pushing 60 years old. Hasn't looked good in the ring, some would say ever. But certainly not in the last few years. Got to have a 15-minute match, a battle with the world champion, and get a few words live on television and complains about his mic getting cut off?
A few words.
Man, this idiot. You're not in the wrestling business. You lick their ass so they keep you around.
Well, but apparently, in all seriousness,
he's a ass licker.
I don't have to listen to New York radio. Therefore, I don't have to listen to the people with taint on their tongue. But how can he, with a straight face, he's not a promoter either, as well as not being whatever the fuck else he's not, because he doesn't have any idea what he's talking about. You should have squashed him. No, you didn't. No, it was an attraction. We've just got finished saying this guy was a huge star, and they should have made a network television show about his last match and built something out of it and work around his limitations. No, it shouldn't have been 15 minutes, but a squash. What kind of fucking moron is this guy?
Oh, there's more. He still got in a nice little moment and got to be celebrated on. Do you know how many people better than Goldberg?
He got celebrated on all right, but usually you get a separate payoff for that is at the end of the shoot.
Do you know how many people better than Goldberg their send-off was, we wished him the best in their future endeavors? This guy got to stand in the ring on national television and have a send-off. You should be thanking your lucky stars for the money you've made and the appreciation you've gotten, which many don't even feel is fully deserved.
Now, hold on again.
I'm so disappointed.
hold on again. The money you've made, a good portion of the money that he's made in the business was with a different fucking company. He's made a number of healthy payoffs with the WWE, but he was making some fucking money before that. And this fucking guy, is he that desperate for a good review from Human Relations?
Clearly, this guy is desperate to stay in WWE's good graces and have them think that if we need someone to kiss our ass and suck our dick in public, this guy's ready to suck our dick. And that's what it's about. And that's why this guy's been on these shows. And that's why no one takes him seriously. And that's why people joke about him. And
I'm wondering if he ought to be trying to stay a little bit on the good side of Goldberg just in case he does show up again.
Yeah, that's the last match Goldberg should have now. Goldberg should call him out. He's next.
Can you imagine if they made up with Goldberg? They said, "Oh, we botched it. Come on back at the fucking Royal Rumble, whatever the fuck it may be." Oh, and is Peter going to be there? I'd like to see Peter.
I'm sure at that point he'll drop to his knees and ask to see Bill Goldberg's Peter, because that's the kind of guy this is. No fucking credibility, ass kisser, sucks on the air, brings nothing to the table, go home, shut up. That's my opinion. Jeez. The nothing happening shitbags that infiltrated radio and bring nothing to the table. Hey, I talk on my radio, but they have like nothing, they bring nothing. And this guy is all about kissing ass.
See?
See what?
There you go. The same goddamn. I thought you were going to say nothing happening to suck up kiss asses that have infiltrated the wrestling business. But it's the same principle.
Same thing.
It's the same thing. And some of the same ones infiltrate both.
Yeah. Horrible. He's making comments about Goldberg's retirement like he knows anything. He exposed in his comment there he doesn't know anything about promotion or booking. But, he has to rush to say something that WWE may like.